Good afternoon, and thank you for being part of the program today. We have help for homeowners on the way from the Alabama State Bar. Tom Methvin is here. He is president-elect of the Alabama State Bar. He is also a native of Eufaula, Alabama. You might have seen him on Good Morning America, O'Reilly. He's also been featured in the National Law Journal as well as Fortune magazine. He is a managing shareholder with the Beasley Allen Law Firm here in Montgomery. Tom Methvin, welcome to the program.
Carolyn, thank you so much for letting me be here. I'm certainly enjoying myself so far.
With this mortgage crisis facing homeowners, how is it that the Alabama State Bar stepped forward? How did that happen?
Well, the State Bar was getting phone calls. Just the phone was ringing off the hook with people saying, my house is about to be foreclosed upon. What can I do? And so we decided that the problem was getting so big we needed to take action. And so what we did is we hired a lawyer to work at Legal Services for 1 year. And he's had full time to work on these mortgage foreclosure problems. And we have gotten a toll-free number where anybody can call that has problems with their mortgage or is about to go into foreclosure. And it's called the Mortgage Foreclosure Hotline. And we have done public service announcements in Mobile and Montgomery and Huntsville so far on TV and radio, telling the consumers and the public that if you're having trouble with your home, if your home's about to be foreclosed upon, call this toll-free number. This is a mortgage hotline, and you can get free legal advice. And I want to give the folks that are listening today that number several times here today. That number is 877-393-2333. And the Alabama State Bar is doing this as a public service, and people can get free legal advice if they're about to lose their home.
So has the phone been ringing?
Well, the phone has been ringing off the hook. We started this program in October, and it's a 1-year program. It'll last until next October. And so far, we believe we've gotten around 1,000 phone calls. And these are from some folks whose home have already been foreclosed upon, some who are about to be foreclosed upon, some that are just behind on their payments. But the key to this, really, as a public service, is that the State Bar is offering free legal advice to anybody that calls. And if you have a mortgage foreclosure problem now, you're about to be foreclosed upon, or you've already received a letter saying that your foreclosure is imminent, you ought to call this hotline, this toll-free number, which is 877-393-2333 for free legal advice.
You've been looking over the state of Alabama. Where are the trouble spots?
Well, it's hard to say that it's in any particular area. I would believe that the most foreclosures we're going to see are going to be in Jefferson County, strictly because of population. And right now we are handling cases in Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville, and all their listening areas. And really we'll handle a case from anywhere where someone calls in. But we haven't done our public service announcements on the radio and TV in Birmingham yet, simply because we've been so flooded with calls. We do expect to do that in January when we're going to have more lawyers helping and more staff helping with this problem. But Carolyn, this problem is reaching epidemic proportion, throughout the country. With the problems we're having in the economy, with folks losing their jobs, and also with adjustable rate mortgages, with these interest rates setting higher, folks are having problems. And some folks have got different kind of problems than others. And the way we're set up is we look at each individual situation and decide what we think we can do for the person that calls us. For instance, if you call and you can't make the payments, all the payments, but you can make some of the payments, we're willing to go talk to the lender on your behalf and see if we can negotiate a different deal for you. Maybe a write-off of some of the loan proceeds, or maybe lower payments over a longer amount of time. And you'd be surprised, a lot of banks are willing to talk now because a lot of them don't want to end up with all these houses.
So you are having a success rate with this project?
So far, we have had some successes, but on the other hand, we've had some people who say, look, I don't have any money. I lost my job. My spouse lost their job. So in that situation, there's not much we can do. Now, some of those folks may qualify for bankruptcy in order to try to keep their home, but we do not handle the bankruptcy cases. We are handling folks that are in two different categories: folks that need to work out the mortgage with the lender, and folks who have been victims of predatory lending. And to be honest, there's very few that have been victims of predatory lending. I'd say about 10%, and that is mostly banks that are out of state. And what I mean by that is let's just say someone calls and tells us they're about to be foreclosed upon, and we look at their papers and we see that they've got all kind of add-on fees that they shouldn't have.
So these would be hallmarks of predatory lending practices?
They are, and mostly it's done by out-of-state banks, not our good local banks.
So what would be some of those add-ons?
Well, you may see credit life insurance. Say if you've got a $30,000 mortgage, you may have been charged $3,000 for credit life insurance plus interest over time, and that credit life insurance is sold through the lender. You may see credit disability insurance that's supposed to make your payments in case you're disabled. You may see credit accident insurance, supposed to make your payments in case there's an accident. You may see auto club insurance that's supposed to help do something with your car. All kind of just what I'd call really high anti-consumer charges. And if you look at those as not being much good to the consumer, you consider it interest, you get interest rates, effective interest rates of over 100% a lot of times. And that's in those situations, if you're about to lose your home because of that, then and you qualify, we can actually go to court for you and try to get some of those proceeds taken off so that you will not lose your home.
Now, are you talking about the Alabama State Bar doing this at no charge to these homeowners?
Yes, this is a free service provided by the Alabama State Bar. And the way it worked is there are two groups that are funding this. The Alabama Civil Justice Foundation and the Access to Justice Commission have raised the money to hire a lawyer for 1 year and some office supplies to handle these cases. And they're done through Legal Services of Alabama. In other words, we're doing the public service, letting everybody know what the toll-free number is. The phone rings at Legal Services Alabama, and if you qualify, then they will be able to help. And you've got two different programs going on at once. Anybody can qualify for trying to work something out with a lender, regardless of your income, okay? Anybody. But if you are going to need litigation, then you must qualify under legal services standards, which is your household income must be somewhere around 125% of the poverty rate.
I noticed that Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke was quoted in a news article recently. He stressed the importance of curbing the foreclosure mess because it is so, quote, closely linked to the economy's health.
Well, that's a good point, Carolyn. It certainly is. Your home is most people's number one asset, their highest valued asset. And they say the home is the castle. You know, that is your place, and it's so much more important than any other thing, any other asset that people have. And that if everybody starts losing these, it sends the whole country into chaos and financial chaos. And so that's why we've got this program to try to help people keep their homes where we can. And we can't help everybody now. Some people are just can't because of certain circumstances won't be able to be helped. But we're willing to talk to anybody for free.
From all of these phones ringing, are you seeing what's happening in Alabama parallel what's happening nationally? Is it worse, the same, or better?
Carolyn, I'm seeing it to be about the same as the rest of the country. Now, there's a group called Realty Track that tracks the number of foreclosures throughout the country, and they say we're not in as bad a shape as some other states like California and other places. But you know what? One foreclosure that we could help save their home is important, and it's worth it to us. But we're believing there's going to be 3,000 or more people that are facing foreclosure either now or in the next year while we've got this program going.
The Alabama State Bar started this project back in October. How long do you plan to continue it?
Well, this program is funded for 1 year, October 08 to October 09, and we'll assess the situation at the time, and if there's still this huge need, then we will continue to fund it longer. But the good news is that anybody who's got any questions or thinks they may be losing their home, they can call this toll-free number, which is 1-877-393-2333.
Give it again slowly.
Okay, 877-393-2333.
Okay, say there are people listening to you right now who are having these kinds of problems and do face foreclosure. What sort of documents do they need to have by that telephone when they call that number?
That is a great question. They need to have all their loan documents that they signed, and they need to have their payment records, because we've run into time where sometimes there's some miscommunication and confusion about payment records being credited properly. So we've got to have all your loan documents and all your payment records.
How far back?
As far back as you have. That is what we need, and that is the key. But I want to stress to everybody out there listening that early intervention is the key. It's kind of like medicine. Early intervention is the key. It is it is going to be harder on the lawyers to help if you call them and say that I'm supposed to be in foreclosure tomorrow, my house is being sold tomorrow. It's going to be difficult to help. On the other hand, if you call and say that I've received this letter saying that if I don't make my payments, they're going to foreclose soon, then that gives the lawyer time to work with them. And so we really need as much time as we can get. So at the very first sign of concern, the consumer needs to call this toll-free hotline.
So you're saying when they get that first letter, go ahead, get your documents together, make the phone call, get the process started in case there is time involved.
That is exactly right.
Okay. Now, this is going on, you said, through next October unless the demand is even stronger.
That's exactly
Correct.
right.
Okay. As I understand it, you came up with this idea and helped the Alabama State Bar adopt the project.
Well, I had been seeing this big problem with mortgage foreclosures, and I'd been hearing from other bar associations in the country at some of our meetings about what they were doing about it. And I said, man, we better come back to Alabama and see what we need to do about it. So the president of the State Bar appointed me as president-elect of the State Bar to be in charge of this Mortgage Foreclosure Task Force. And we met in record time, had lots of input from attorneys throughout the state, and we decided that this was the best process to do, and that is hire a lawyer for 1 year, put them at legal services, get this toll-free hotline, let the public know about this toll-free hotline, and let's let that lawyer handle them, because this lawyer knows how to handle these cases, and he's handled them before. And it's really more than one lawyer can handle. This was just to kind of help get it started. I mean, legal services has got lots of lawyers working on this now, and we're hoping by January or February they're going to have another grant from the federal government, and they're going to have more lawyers working on this so that we can start announcing this publicly on the radio and TV in Birmingham also.
Homeowners are so discouraged right now. Some of them have families. They're facing the loss of their homes, some of them the loss of their jobs. When you step forward to help one of these homeowners, about how long can they expect the process to take?
Well, it depends on what the situation is. If foreclosure is imminent, a lot of times you can try to work something out with the lender right before that date. So it could be as little as a week or two. On the other hand, when you've got some time, it could take several months. And like I said, anybody, regardless of their income, qualifies for us to work with the lenders to try to work something out for them. If it needs litigation because maybe the banks did not follow all the rules before they tried to foreclose, if they didn't follow the law or that kind of thing, then the people we help there are people that are 125% of the poverty level.
Now, you also have a website at the Alabama State Bar. Is any of this information on the website?
Yes, the website at the State Bar is alabar.org. That's ALABAR.org. That's ALABAR.org. And we have all kind of information on the homepage about this process, a question and answer, and a brochure to explain this. And we also have the toll-free number on there.
I take it as the president-elect of the Alabama State Bar, this is one of your big goals for 2009, to get this situation under control.
It absolutely is. It is my number one goal. When I become president of the State Bar, it is going to be my number one goal, and that is access to justice for people who need it, and that is people who are either the working poor or people who are just down on their luck from loss of jobs and that kind of thing. That is what we're going to focus on, trying to help. And we want to help we at the State Bar want to help as many people for free as we can.
Tom Methvin, you also have a business background aside from your law background. Is there any other final piece of advice you'd like to give your listeners right now?
The main thing I'd like to tell the listeners now is don't panic when you get that letter. Just go get your loan documents, get your payment history, and call this toll-free hotline, and we will try to help you if it's any way possible.
Give it one more time.
The toll-free number is 877-393-2333.
Thank you for being here today, and I hope in a few months we can do an update.
Wonderful.
Tom Methvin has been our guest. He is president-elect of the Alabama State Bar. Again, one more time, that toll-free number, 877-393-2333. Tom Methvin is a native of Eufaula. We'll take you back to Troy for the remainder of your news hour. Our program is a public service of Troy University.